What's going on, everyone? We are back with another Enhancement Shaman video today, and just like always, we're going to try and keep things as short and straight to the point as much as we possibly can. Any questions you have, feel free to ask them in the comments. We will do our best to answer them for you. Also, if you have liked our videos, make sure that you are subscribing to the channel so that you can stay up to date with any of our videos that we release in the future. Now, the video today, we are going to be going over how and where to acquire different conduits and legendary memories for your character. Some of these are going to be available right away, some of these are not. They are going to be locked behind either a Torghast Hall unlock because it may not be available. Remember, Torghast is only going to have 2 wings available per week. Well, some of your legendary powers are in specific halls, so you may not have they may not be available on launch, so you need to be prepared to be able to get what you can in the meantime. So, jumping right into it, let's start off first with what you can get from PvP. PvP, there are 4 conduits that are available to you from PvP. All right, we have Totemic Surge, we have Call of Flame, we have the Embrace of Earth, and we have Magma Fist. Now, these I'm not going to recommend spending your conquest on. First of all, they're not really your desired conduits as Enhancement Shaman whatsoever, but also because these do tend to also pop up as world quest rewards. Now, the item level for the world quest rewards right now, they are really high because everything's unlocked on beta. So we have renown 40, we have high eye level, so everything's scaling up to us. This is not the eye level that they will be on launch at all. They'll probably be more around like 158 level. So don't think that the world quest ones are going to be like really good right out the gate. All right, so those are the first 4 that you're able to get from PvP. We don't have, as Enhancement Shaman, we don't have any legendaries that come from PvP, so that's not something we have to worry about. Now, just keep in mind, you can look at the dungeon journal here and see all the legendaries or that Enhancement Shaman are able to use. Keep in mind, only these 4 are enhancement specific, and only the first 8 are even shaman related. These other ones are just generic ones for really gimmicky things that don't actually affect your class in any way. So these are the 4 that we're going to be focusing on. Only one of these will be available. All right, only one of these is going to be available, and so now we're going to jump into the dungeons, and that's where we're going to find that. So the first dungeon, this is where our primary conduit is going to come from. This is Unruly Winds. It comes from the other side. All right, and if you look here, normal mode, it's 158 eye level. Wind Fury has a 21% chance to trigger a 3rd attack. At Mythic, it's a 184 eye level. The Wind Fury weapon has a 23% chance to trigger a 3rd attack. So the eye level is what's going to dictate the potency of all of your conduits to begin with. This is going to be a primary potency conduit for Enhancement Shamans, particularly if you are running Doom Winds, which you will be, because that is potentially the only legendary that we will have available to us on launch. So that's the first one right there. We will have access to Memory of the Deep Tremor coming from Halls of Atonement. This is a generic Shaman legendary. This one is the one that puts an earthquake on your earth elemental, so it's a multi-minute cooldown that just doesn't really do too much besides provide some nice AoE damage consistently for the duration of it. No conduits from there. Mists of Tir-Nasith, nothing there for us. Plaguefall, nothing there from us. Sanguine Depths, again, Magma Fist. All right, this one comes from multiple locations. Do not use your conquest on it. It's not worth it. Sanguine Depths, Magma Fist. This is another place where you can get it. Now, Spires of Ascension. This dungeon is going to be your bread and butter, most important dungeon that you will be doing post-launch. All right, it comes with one of your other stronger potency conduits, your Focus Lightning. Maelstrom weapon increases the damage or healing of your next spell by an additional 1.8% per stack of your Maelstrom weapon. So at this, it's almost 2% per stack. Once we get into Mythic Plus, you'll break it over 2% per stack. So we're talking 10 plus 10% plus increased healing or damage on an ability. But this is also where your memory of the Doom Winds is going to come from. This is going to be where you will be able to get your first Enhancement Shaman Legendary from. It is not a guaranteed drop, only drops from things like world bosses or raid content. Stuff that is not highly repeatable is going to have guaranteed drop rates on them. Stuff that comes from dungeons or Torghast, those are going to have lower drop chances that are going to potentially require you to do them repeatedly depending on how lucky you are. So Spires of Ascension, you are going to live here, gives you a conduit, gives you a legendary. It also has a one-handed weapon, but on top of that, there's also a haste trinket from this dungeon. This dungeon gives you so much benefit as an Enhancement Shaman. You are going to want to do this place so much. Now, that's going to turn into, next one is going to be Necrotic Wake. That's where Chilled Core is going to come from. If you feel like you really like the extra Maelstrom weapon stacks that you can acquire from doing Frost Shocks, hey, this conduit's for you. And that is it for the conduits from our dungeons. In terms of the raids, now we're going to look at the world bosses. There are only 4 conduits from the world bosses. They are your generic covenant skill conduit. Depending on which one you're using, some of them might be good for you. Just depends on what you're running. I'm gonna leave that one up to your discretion on what you want to use. I don't personally intend to use any of them because I'm going to be running Venthyr, so this one is just a crit chance increase. I'm not going to be too invested in that. Castle Nathria. Now Nathria is where you're going to have a lot of stuff come from that you're not going to have access to until Nathria is open. Unfortunately, one of your other legendaries comes from here, but fortunately, inversely, it's probably one of your worser legendaries, so it's not really a big deal. Don't worry too much about it. So as for our conduits that are going to come here, we're going to have Astral Protection, Crippling Hex, Refreshing Waters, this is a big one, Spiritual Resonance, Thunderous Pause, Totemic Surge, and Vital Accretion. Outside of that, for our legendaries that are going to come from here, we have the Bloodlust legendary. That is the one that increases the duration of Bloodlust by 20 seconds and gives you an extra 10% haste. And then the Memory of the Primal Lava Actuators. So there are 2 legendaries that come from here, one that's enhancement specific, one that is generic shaman legendary. So keep in mind that these will not be available until the Castle Nathria is open. And then we're going to talk about the ones that we don't have access to potentially right away. Witch Doctor's Wolfbones and Legacy of the Frost Witch. The other 2 legendaries, 2 of our 4 legendaries, are in the 4th and 5th wings of Torghast. All right. You may not have access to those. We don't know what wings Torghast is going to open with. If we wanted to go by a process of elimination of most likelihood of how Blizzard's going to do it, well, we're probably going to start with wing 1 and then wing 2. So we're going to have wings 1 and 2 open in the first week. Well, then it's going to be 3 and 4. Okay, cool. In the second week, there will be one that we might be able to get from the 4th hall. And then you'd have to wait until the 3rd week to get the next one from the 5th hall. So that's one of those things where the only legendary that is definitively going to be available to us right out the gate from dungeons is going to be our Doomwinds legendary. Fortunately, this is also one of our, better legendaries, if not our best legendary. So pretty lucky for us that that's the case. That's not going to be the case for everybody, though. Some people's best legendaries do come from Torghast, or maybe even from the raid. So that's just something to keep an eye on, guys. So those are what you need to be looking out for. Again, the other side, Unruly Winds, because of your Doomwinds legendary, this is going to be a really strong go-to early on potency conduit. Remember, you're not going to have access to multiple conduit slots. You're only going to probably have access to maybe 1 or 2 early on. So expect to really make use of make sure you know what you want and where to get it from. And then Spires of Ascension is going to be where you get your main legendary memory fragment from. All right, along with another future potential potency conduit, plus a one-handed weapon and a haste trinket. This is going to be your bread and butter dungeon. All right, so that was it, guys. I just really wanted to cover this real fast for you, just in case anybody had any questions about how these legendaries worked in terms of acquiring, as well as your conduits. These are going to be where you're going to want to put a lot of your time in the first week or two of the game, farming these dungeons, getting your conduits, getting your legendaries, you know, just the basic grind stuff. But I also didn't want there to be any confusion for people who might have been looking for different legendaries, because I know not everybody wants to run Doomwinds, that they may not be available right away. You might have to wait. They might be locked behind a Torghast Wing week, or might be locked behind the raid. So that's it, everybody. I hope you guys have a fantastic launch. Enjoy Shadowlands. I'm greatly looking forward to it, and we will see you in the maw. Peace.